Welcome to Time Well Spent, a podcast from LaborSync, the only real-time, multilingual timesheet software your business will ever need. Um, think about running a grocery store for a second. If 20% of your milk just, vanished off the shelves every single week, you would absolutely panic.
Oh, yeah, you'd be calling the police.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if you run a service or a construction business, you probably lost exactly that much this week in untracked time, and you probably just, called it the cost of doing business.
Right. It's just accepted as normal.
Yeah. So today on Time Well Spent, we are looking at a recent LaborSync blog article to uncover how small businesses are unknowingly bleeding profit. We'll show you why time is actually your primary inventory and how to permanently plug those invisible leaks.
It is a massive blind spot for owners. I mean, truly massive. And the root of the problem usually starts with a phenomenon the blog article perfectly describes as Friday fiction.
Friday fiction. I love that term. Okay, let's unpack this, because that's when a crew member gets to the end of a long, exhausting week, right? They pull a crumpled paper timesheet from the truck dashboard.
Usually stained with coffee.
Yeah, exactly. And they basically try to guess what exact hours they worked back on Tuesday.
Right, and human memory is just a terrible record keeper. When people guess, they naturally round numbers, and, they subconsciously round in their own favor. What's fascinating here is the sheer scale of what we call the 15-minute fallacy.
Because 15 minutes feels completely harmless. I mean, it's sitting in traffic, grabbing a coffee, or just chatting by the truck.
Exactly. But let's break down the math from the blog article because it's wild. Say you have a 10-person crew. If they each round up their time by just 20 minutes a day...
Which feels like nothing.
Right, it feels like nothing. But that equals nearly 17 hours a week across your team. At a modest $30 an hour, that so-called harmless rounding costs you a staggering $26,000 a year.
Wait, 26 grand? So you just paid 26 grand for work that never actually happened?
Exactly. And the blog article points out this scales up aggressively. Like, in professional services billing at $150 an hour, missing just 15 minutes a day costs nearly $47,000 annually for just a 5-person team.
Wow. That is a down payment on new equipment. Or in a massive bonus pool just completely vaporized.
Gone. And the immediate cash loss isn't even the most dangerous part. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it comes down to the execution cap, because that bad data is quietly sabotaging your future growth.
Wait, slow down. How does an inflated timesheet today sabotage a bid like 6 months from now?
Well, because you are baking that fiction into your historical job costing.
Oh, I see.
Right. When you bid on a future job using bad data from those paper timesheets, you might assume a past project took 120 hours when it actually only took 100.
Ah, so you use that 120-hour baseline for your new bid.
Exactly. You win the project, but because your baseline was artificially high, you have mathematically engineered a lower profit margin before you even break ground.
So what does this all mean? You're basically building your entire business model on Friday fiction. Okay, I get the math. But let's talk reality for a second. If I suddenly tell my veteran crew I'm tracking their exact minutes and GPS locations, they are going to think I'm playing Big Brother.
Yeah, that's a very common worry.
Right. I'd be terrified they'd just walk off the job. So what does this actually mean for company culture?
It is a huge fear, but the blog article reveals the exact opposite is true. Professional crews actually prefer accurate digital tracking.
Really? They prefer it?
Yeah, they do. Why? Because it removes the subjective, he said, she said friction with management. It guarantees their overtime is logged down to the exact minute.
Oh, so their paycheck is protected by objective data.
Exactly. Not just the boss's mood or memory. Plus, it highlights your true superstars, letting you see who is consistently finishing under budget.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So how do we actually fix this without, causing a mutiny or needing a degree in data science?
It really just comes down to implementing a few highly practical solutions.
Yeah.
First, you have to kill the paper. If a time log is written on a napkin or a scrap of cardboard, it's just not data.
Definitely not.
Second, utilize GPS and location services to verify site presence.
Right, because that removes the whole home-to-work drive time padding for remote crews.
Precisely. But the real magic happens when you integrate that time tracking directly with your payroll. By bridging GPS data straight to payroll, you completely eliminate the Friday afternoon data entry bottleneck.
Oh, that sounds like a lifesaver.
It is. The system calculates the overtime rules and site hours automatically. So your office manager isn't playing detective every Monday morning trying to decipher bad handwriting.
Which leaves you with a final question to ponder. What if the capital you need for your next big expansion is already sitting right there in your business, just hiding in the untracked minutes of your daily operations?
That is exactly what you should be asking yourself today.
This episode of Time Well Spent was brought to you by LaborSync. Track employee hours and job site locations in real time from any device. Start your risk-free trial today at laborsync.com.